So one of the things that I deal with a lot of people that are in, foreclosure with their lenders, not the tax delinquent so much.
Gotcha.
And in putting together option deals, going and catching up their mortgage, letting them, I mean, if they don't want to be in the house anymore, then we certainly can buy it. But many of them want to stay in the house.
I would like to take a 10-minute break and then.
Three, two, one.
How do you have the ability to analyze stocks?
Welcome to the Generations of Wealth show. I am your host, Derek Dombeck. Today's show, it's different than what we've had recently. Going to be talking with John, and he specializes in tax delinquent foreclosures in his area. So great conversation. Uh, you probably won't notice it much. Just being up front, we had some editing or edits that we had to do because of some technical glitches. So if your audio or your video is glitching out, just know it's not your system. It was just some stuff on John's end. But with that said, this is all about, especially this show, was all about just giving of knowledge. And John was perfectly happy to even give out his personal contact information to his cell phone. So take it for what it's worth. But anything that we can do to help you, don't hesitate to reach out, derekdombeck.com. And my direct email, derek@globalgow.com. Anything that I can do to help you, let me know. So with that, let's bring on our guest. And here he is, all the way from San Antonio, Texas, Mr. John Bonillas. How are you doing today, John?
I'm doing excellent, Derek. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm going to start this show off like I do with every show. If you wouldn't mind just letting the audience know a little bit about yourself, and
Yep.
then we're going to dive into what you're really damn good at.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised San Antonio, Texas. My background had nothing to do with real estate. My background had nothing to do with fixing houses. I got my degree in kinesiology. I was a coach and a teacher for about 5 years. And then after that, I got into the fitness industry, worked my way up the corporate ladder of the fitness world. And I was a regional VP for Bally Total Fitness for a number of years. And then after that, there was nowhere to go. So then my dad was actually a contractor. That's how I knew about houses. And through my college summers, I was working on houses. In high school, I'd be working on houses. Hated it, right? Never wanted to get into it. Absolutely hated a hammer. I hated hauling materials. Just hated it, right? But you get older, and then you realize, okay, do I want to keep working for these guys 12 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week, or do I want to see what I could do with my own business? What I could create. So I was managing, fitness centers, like I said, I was doing that for about 7 years after I was coaching and teaching. And then I decided, okay, I need to make a move. What do I know? What am I good at? What I was good at was sales. What I knew was contracting, right? Because my dad was a contractor, so I knew about roofing, I knew about siding, I knew about windows, and I knew they could make you good money. So I opened up a contracting business. That was in 2017. Mainly just focus on exteriors, right? Roofing, siding, windows. After I started stacking my cash and doing well, I said, I need to do something with this money. I don't really, I'm not, I don't know much about stocks. I don't know much about other stuff. I know houses, right? So I said, I need to start pushing this money and picking up some properties and investing in real estate. I didn't really know how I was going to do that. So I started taking seminars. They have all these weekend seminars teaching you this, teaching you that. You go for day one and they're automatically trying to sell you on day two. And I got sold on a few of them. I needed to know. I wanted to know. So you're paying $1,000 to go to the second day of the seminar. They give you more breadcrumbs and, you figure out they're just trying to get you to pay $20,000 to go to an island and then learn more stuff or whatever. But eventually, after paying enough people and going through enough of the processes, I thought, okay, foreclosures is where I need to be at because I got a bunch of cash, and I think that's the best way I can get them for the lowest price. I have a background in rehabbing houses. I know that. So for me, I started looking at the foreclosure market, and specifically, I started looking at tax delinquent foreclosures, where people don't pay their property taxes, and the county will sell their property at auction. In Texas, You're not buying the lien, right? Like in other states, it's like a tax liens and you get a percentage. No, in Texas, you're getting a deed. It's deeds you're getting. So I started going really deep and heavy into tax delinquent property foreclosures in 2019 ish, and that's when I started that journey.
Okay. So do you ever dabble with other types of foreclosures, or are you still focused on tax delinquent only?
I've been on the mortgage side a whole bunch of times. I get beat out. I get beat. Mortgage foreclosures are more competitive in that you're going to need more buy-in, right? Like it's a bigger buy-in because you're getting properties that are more turnkey, right? This thing probably, they probably got sold 3 years ago, and then now it's getting foreclosed on 3 years later. So they're better properties. I do know that, but I always get outbid and I get beat. But I do dabble on the mortgage side, and I will try to win it when I have it, and I can go to that side and do it. But for the most part, everything I've ever picked up has been on the tax delinquent side as far as lots and homes.
Okay, so you're looking at vacant lots as well. Are
Oh yeah,
you are you
yeah.
flipping those, or are you building on them?
So the majority of them when I started were flips. I have two now that are commercial, and we're going to develop on those. So yeah, it's now pushing a more development of those lots, the ones that I was able to pick up commercial, because at these auctions there's all types of properties,
Yeah.
not just residential. You get industrial, you get commercial. One of the ones that I have that's commercial now, I actually bought it. And it was zoned residential, and it was a great development area. There was all these commercial properties happening around me, so I waited till they developed, and then I just did a rezone on it, and I got it rezoned to commercial. And my neighbors now are Starbucks, Taco Bell, Wendy's, and KFC, and none of that was there when I bought it. That's the one we're going to develop on.
Nice. What are you
Yeah.
going to develop on that one, or don't you have that planned yet?
I'm not there yet. So
Mhm.
we wanted to put like a. Mm, we wanted something similar to our neighbors, right? Which were
Mhm.
drive-through places, those type of establishments. So I have some architect plans, and I don't know if I actually, because I've always wanted a coffee shop, right? And I'm this crazy guy, and I always want to jump into these different businesses. So I said, man, and my daughter's 19, 20, and she works at a food establishment place. So I'm like, well, I could hire her as the GM, and we could start this coffee business together and really get it going. Or I thought I'll just build the dang thing and I'll just lease it, right?
Yeah.
So we're not quite there yet with what we want to finally do with it, or our true vision for it yet.
Well, I know we were jamming a little bit before we started recording, and there's just a lot to figure out. And I know you've helped a lot of people over the years kind of figure out the process and actually help them at the auctions to win
Yeah.
properties. But
Yep.
what how did you start out? Was it just by guess and by gosh, or did you get your butt kicked a little bit a few times, or what's all the hurdles and pitfalls to look out for?
Yeah, so when I first tried to start buying it at these auctions, uh, you there's really no information on it out there. Like for me, I didn't even know about the property delinquent side. I knew about mortgage foreclosures. I knew that. I knew banks
Yeah.
would sell your house if you didn't pay. I didn't know there was I didn't know the counties would sell your properties. And then when I discovered that, that's when I got really, really interested and curious in that. But like I said, I couldn't really find any answers. And it seemed like everybody that would talk about it, because I went to seminars and like these weekend things where, they had talked about that they started mentioning property tax foreclosures, and they would talk about them, and they would talk about, the great returns on these, but they didn't really teach you where to find the list, right? Like that was the hardest thing ever, was like, where do I find my county's list, right? Like if I live in Bear County, or if I live in Tarrant County, Fort Worth, or Harris County, Houston, where do I even find these auction lists, right? And I know it's like, it's one of those things where it's like you feel dumb because it's right in front of your face. You literally just go to the property tax assessor office. You can give them a call. You can say, "Hey, where and when do you guys have your tax delinquent foreclosure auctions, and where do I get the lists?" And they'll literally tell you
Yeah, because it's public record.
because it's
Yeah,
public record, right?
absolutely.
So like, so once I figured that out, I was like, okay, so much of this is just public record. So much of this is just I can go find it out. I just need to go ask the right people. So I was going down to the property tax assessor office. I was going down to the appraisal district office. I was going down to the county courthouse. I was going to the research and records room, right, and just asking all these questions. I was showing up at the auctions, which are the first Tuesday of every month in Texas.
Okay.
It's a Super Tuesday is what it's called. So the first Tuesday of every month is the only day that they'll allow you to have auctions. So the mortgage foreclosure auctions take place that day, and the property tax auctions take place that day. So I was just showing up to a bunch of them, and then I would see people who were bidding, and then I would try to start asking them questions, getting close to them. Um, and eventually I found all my answers. It took me about 6 months of going to all these different places until I figured out, okay, I know the list. I know how to research the property. I know how to research the lot. I know how to find the liens. I know how to find the potential back taxes I may have. I know what excess proceeds mean. I know what a redemption period means. I had figured all this out, and then I had my money saved up and ready to go. And then I finally went to auction, and the first thing I ever wanted at auction was a small vacant lot for about $5,800. That lot I sold it a year later for $32,000. I picked up another auction that's another lot that same year at auction for 7,200. About a year later, I sold that thing for $67,000. So and then that's when I was like, dude, this is like right. It was mind blowing to me at that time that you could pick up land for so cheap and then flip it. And then once I had that, that's when I started going after houses. So it started with lots, transitioned into homes.
So let's break that down a little bit for people that
Yeah.
don't know, right? And disclaimer, like neither one of us is giving advice for your state or your county because it is
Sure.
different in every state
Yeah.
and county.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, some states are selling tax deeds, some are selling tax liens, big difference between
Yep.
them. But
Yep.
specific to Texas and what you are knowledgeable in, what you mentioned excess funds, you mentioned
Sure.
doing record searches and
Yep.
looking for liens, and
Yep.
so
Yep.
walk through that
So
process.
yeah, so step one I would tell anybody is like if you're gonna do this, you need to have cash on hand, right? And then wherever that comes from, whether you have partners, whether you have private money, whether you got your own money, whether you're gonna put a HELOC out, you need the cash like literally that day. You have to pay the county that day, or they'll kick you out. They won't allow you to go back to auction for a year. So that's the main thing I would tell people is make sure you have your cash on hand, ready to go. People always ask me how much money. I said, well, it's going to vary, depending on where the lot is or where the house is, the zip code, the condition. Many of those things will vary. The second thing I'll tell folks is find that auction list, right? Call your your county tax assessor. Find the list, right? Look through it, right? And then figure out what you're looking at, right? Um, you're going to see addresses. You're going to see pictures. Don't rely on the pictures. Don't rely on the addresses, right? You're going to want to look for more of the account numbers on these properties, right? That's the second thing I tell folks. Find the list. Third thing I would tell folks is figure out what you're actually looking at on that list, right? Like I said, don't just focus on addresses and pictures. Look for account numbers. Account numbers are what you're going to then use to go research these properties with the appraisal district, with the tax assessor, and when you go do your lien search. So those are like the three main points I would tell folks. You need cash. You need to know where the list is, where to find it, and then you need to know what you're looking at when you're looking at that list. If once you can figure out those three things, then you can really start looking at, okay, what's the next step, right? And then the next step after that is, um, in my opinion, it's figuring out what you're going to do with that property. What do you want to do? Do you want to fix and flip stuff? Do you want to hold stuff? Do you want to have rental properties? Do you want to Airbnb properties? Figure out what your short, mid, and long term goals are for these houses. You can just pick up lots all day long. I've taught people, and all they look for is lots, and they
Hmm.
just hold on to them for the redemption period, and then they list for sale, and they just make money flipping, just turning and burning lots, and they never rehab a property. They have no idea how to rehab properties. They have no idea, what siding means, what roofing, what roof soffits are. They have no idea, but they just know how to research the lots. They know what a valuable lot is. They know what they should pay for it, and that's all they focus on. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the basics of it right there. But it does get far more complex.
Well, and if you're looking at raw lots or raw land, I mean, the theoretically you have less potential risk. Although you could have contaminated soil, you could have buried fuel tanks, you could have tires as,
Mhm. Oh
buried
yeah.
buried bodies, quite
Oh yeah.
frankly. I mean, it could
Yeah, yeah.
happen. And
A, a number of things. What I always advise people on that one is, you probably want to look for a lot that previously had a home on it and it was demoed out, right? But that's telling us that you were probably able to build there at some point. That's telling us we probably have a water line tapped into, probably had electrical going. The biggest things I tell folks to look out for lots are look for easements. Right, make sure there's no easements running through there, right? Like electrical easements, utility easements. Make sure you're not in a flood zone, right? Like in San Antonio, you can't even build in a flood zone. They just won't allow you to.
yeah.
In Houston, you can. You just got to, build a certain way. So, but that's big, right? Like if I can't even build on it, why am I even looking at this lot? So, yeah, there's some major things that you want to, look out for lots. But the easiest thing I can tell folks too is before auction, you have this information. You can go down to your city's development service office where you go pull permits to build a house, and you can go to zoning there, and you can just say, hey, look, I got these 3 lots I'm interested in buying. Can I build on them? Tell me.
Hmm.
And they'll literally sit there, they'll look them up, and they'll tell you, well, this one's in a flood zone. You're going to, nope, sorry. Or this one, you got easements eating up half the lot. So that's what I always advise folks to do. You're not going to know every answer. The city has the answers. Go use them. You pay taxes to those guys. Go get your questions answered. Take whatever lots you're interested in. Go down to your development services department. Sit there with them. Ask them, can I build on here? Even if you don't have an intention to build, you just know that it's for the next guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can build a house there.
Well, and every time I've gone into a government office like that, when you're in there for the right reasons and you're not there to scream at them or yell at them, they're fantastic. I mean, this is what they're supposed to do. It is all public information.
Yeah.
And if you happen to bring a box of chocolates and it stays on the counter, so be it, right? Like
Yeah.
that helps them remember you.
Oh yeah. Oh, I took it. Heck, I took it a step further, Derek. So I was like, so another thing that I would tell people to do, and the way I was able to, and it gets complex. Like I said, and I don't want to take up too much time here, but you can forecast kind of what developments are going to happen in your city if you go down to these development service offices and you sit in these zoning meetings and you sit in these board of adjustment meetings. They're telling you, what major pieces of land are getting rezoned or redeveloped, or these new metroplexes that may get put in, where a new HEB is going to go, where a new movie theater is going to go, and you can see. Okay, what parts of town are these major developments happening in? That's probably where I need to start targeting. So what I did is I would go to those in the beginning, and that's how I knew, man, that's a valuable lot. That's a valuable lot. I know that area is kind of hood right now, but it's going to come up.
Mhm.
And that's how I would forecast, kind of where things were pushing to. And then when I saw those boards, I was like, those boards are just held by public citizens. I applied for one of the boards, and I now sit on one of those boards. I sit on the board of adjustments, so I'm down there. So I know everything that's going on with the city now. I'm
Yeah.
down there every other Monday, and I'm a commissioner there, and I now get to vote on these developments that happen within our city. But not only that, if I'm also an investor, I'm getting to see this stuff because it's a part of what I do now. So I encourage folks to do that too. You can apply for these boards or these commissions within your city. You can, it's a public. You get to go volunteer. Provide a service to your city, give back to the community, but you're actually getting to learn a lot. Especially if you're an investor, you want to know that stuff. And
Well,
so,
it's
yeah,
insider trading without being illegal insider trading. It's just
correct,
knowledge and it's
correct,
relationships.
right,
100%
yeah.
it's relationships.
Oh yeah, big time, big time, big time. So, and that was as easy as me just going online, clicking a few buttons, and then I had to go, I had to get voted in, I had to go give a
Mhm.
presentation, obviously, but anybody can do it.
You mentioned redemptive periods. So what does that look like where you
Yeah.
are at least?
Yep, yep, yep. So redemption periods, or redemption rights, they may be called. You'll hear it a couple different ways. So the way it works in Texas, and this is where folks really need to look out for it, is there's a 6 month minimum, but it can be all the way up to 2 years. So the way that'll work is it'll go based off of what exemptions exist on the property. So if the property has a homestead exemption, it's 2 years. It's a 2-year redemption period. Now, if it's also used for farm or agricultural use, it's a 2-year redemption period. If it's a vacant lot or it doesn't have a homestead exemption, it's 6 months. It's 6 months. Now, what is a redemption period? What is that? People will ask me. They're like, "Well, I don't really own the home, do I?" No, no, no. You own the home. You own the deed. You can evict. You can live in it. You can do a number of things. What I would advise not to do is really put any real money into the property until that redemption period has cleared. What that redemption period is it's saying that the previous owner who lost the property gets the right to come back and redeem it from you. Now, they don't just get to redeem it for the back taxes or whatever, they have to redeem it for what you purchased it for plus 25% in year one. Right. So, if, for example, I go buy a property, I buy it for $100,000. If they want to come back and buy it from me in year one, they got to pay me $125,000. Starting day 366, if it was a 2-year redemption, starting day 366, that bumps up to 50%. So they now got to come back and pay me $150,000 if they want to redeem the property. Um, do people ever redeem is the other question I always get asked. Well, aren't you scared that people are going to redeem? Well, I'm like, well, not really. Shit. If they want to come back, if they want to come back
Oh,
and
you're
redeem,
fine.
I'm okay with a 25% return in year one. I'm okay with a 50% return in year two. Those are great returns. I'm okay with that if they want to do it. The thing is, nobody's ever going to come redeem, right? 99.9% of the time, I would say people do not redeem. It's never been done on one of my properties. It's never been done on any property that I know of that's done this or anybody I taught. Why? Well, it's just common sense says, well, if these people couldn't pay their yearly property taxes of two, three, $4,000, how the heck are they going to come pay me $125,000? People say, well, maybe they get a loan. Who's going to loan them money? They just lost their house.
Yeah, they don't have the
That
deed, so they
they,
can't leverage it.
there's nothing to leverage. Now maybe they got a rich uncle out in California, and yeah, maybe he wants to come take over it and buy it back. Well, cool. Maybe there's a small percentage that it could happen. So please be aware of that. Um, Now, what you can do as far as rehab on the property, let's say you buy a house and the roof is leaking, windows are broken, siding is deteriorating. You can redo the roof. You can fix the windows. You can fix the siding and paint it. These are all keeping the house structurally protected, structurally sound, however you want to word it. So, what you can do is save all your receipts. Should they come redeem, you're also going to get paid back the improvements you made on it plus the interest. So, should they redeem by some crazy instance,
Mhm.
any money you put into it, you're going to get back plus interest. Now, you're not going to get back things that are cosmetic, right? If you go put tile backsplash, new countertops, new cabinets, things like that, you're not going to get that back. So be cautious when you rehab these properties if you're going to choose to rehab them during the redemption period. My advice for folks is if you're going to hang on to it, do a light rehab, rent the thing out.
Mhm.
Right? That's at least my advice on it.
Yeah, because you're tying up your cash. So this comes down to how much you buy it for, what discount you buy it for, and how long you want your cash tied up in risk versus reward. But with the redemption period, in two-part question, with the redemption period, I understand what they have to pay back in your area now. But then do you ever go to them, seek out the people and buy out their redemption rights?
Yes, yes. So you can do that, and I have attempted to do that, and on two separate occasions, we got all the way there until title figured out that there was some other heirs that also needed to sign off of. I obviously missed my step. I didn't find everyone.
Okay.
Title did, but we couldn't get those deals to go through.
Okay.
So I had to wait those out. One of those I had to wait out 2 years, which I knew in the beginning, and I was really hoping not to. Yeah. So with the redemption period, you can buy it out beforehand if you can get a hold of all the heirs and you get them all to sign off of. So I've had this happen, but then I've had some of the heirs not want to sign off on it, and we couldn't get the deal to go through that way.
So with the tax foreclosure, what about other liens, junior liens or even senior liens? Do they get wiped out? Or what can you get stuck
So
with?
The only ones that you will get stuck with are anything superior to the county. So anything, and I know it sounds crazy, and folks always ask me, do these have mortgages on them? Um, no, they usually do not. They usually do not. And I say usually do not because when they have a mortgage on it, usually you're paying your taxes and insurance and everything paid into your mortgage payment. It's all calculated in there. There have been some that have had some reverse mortgages on there, some things like that. Now, if that's on there, the county actually is superior to any mortgage that's on there.
Mhm.
What is not superior to it is state and federal. So, like child support lien at the state level, or like IRS. If they owe any money to the IRS, there's an IRS lien on there. That's going to stick. That's going to stay. So, if you ever see anything that's state related, child support, anything that's federal related, like IRS, I would stay away from those.
Stay away from it,
Rare,
or at
rare.
least factor that into what you're willing to pay, knowing that you're gonna have to pay
It,
that
it,
over and above.
you're right. You're right. Exactly. Yeah. Calculate that in there. If the numbers still make sense, then hey, it's still a good deal.
Yeah. Okay. So where my head goes, and this is what I love to do, is I like to deal directly with the sellers, or in this case, the people that are owning it and losing it to the county, because I don't like competition. You go to public auction, there's competition there. Um,
Yeah.
have you ever
Yep.
considered approaching the owners directly and giving them what's needed on the front end so it doesn't go to public
Yeah, I do.
auction?
So I do that often. I do that often. It's difficult. It's very difficult. These people are getting inundated. When first of all, when we're actually able to find the person actually lives in the home. These people are being inundated by 20, 30 guys just like me, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of them don't answer the door. A lot of them do answer the door, very pissed off. I always leave a note or I leave something. You can skip trace them. You can try to call them. You can do those things as well too. A lot of times with these properties, what also happens is the properties are vacant, right? What ends up happening with a lot of these is the person died off and there was nobody else. They really had no heirs or their kids live in another city, whatever it is, and they just neglect the property. So a lot of these, I'm not able to find the owner, but I do make every attempt possible to try to do that beforehand. Whenever I have actually talked with people and I do get them like, we're talking numbers. Usually people want way more than what they think that they should get for the house. And I'm like, you got to factor in, somebody will want, market value or near market value for the house. I'm like, it's crazy. Your house is dilapidated. And so then they'll say, well, I want 100,000 for it. I'm like, well, I'm not going to give you 100,000. First of all, you owe, whatever it is, 34,000 in back taxes. So calculate that into there. That you're not going to get that, but I'm not going to pay you 100K for it because I could simply go to auction and get it way cheaper. Right. So it's tough. It's tough on this side. On the delinquent foreclosure side, it's tougher to get to first to actually just talk to the people, but then second to actually get them to agree on a price. Because a lot of times I'm like, look, I will just go pick it up cheaper at auction. And yeah, maybe there is competition there. Maybe I will get beat out. But if I do get beat out, it's fine. I'll just go to auction the following month. Like there's
Yeah.
always another auction. There's always another property. So if I can't make the numbers work in my favor, I'm just pretty patient with it, and you'll see me there next month.
Well, you mentioned excess proceeds. So if you bid $50,000 and there was 34,000 owed on the taxes, that money is supposed to go to the property owner.
Yeah, there's a certain order it goes in. So, for example, let's say property owner owed 34,000, property goes for 100,000, so we got 66,000 in excess proceeds. But let's say that suit, the year that they sued them was for years 2016 through years 2021. Right, that's
Mhm.
that's what cleared up that suit. So there's these years that aren't included in the suit. A lot of people think that they're liable for those, and you will be if there's no excess proceeds. Now,
Mhm.
those 66,000 in excess proceeds will go to eat up those years that were not included in the suit. Right now, whatever year you buy it in, you owe that roll year. That's yours.
Yeah.
But the excess proceeds will first go to eat up any years that weren't included in the suit, and it'll go to eat up any city liens, right? So if there's like mow liens, lot cleanup liens, it'll go to eat all that up as well too. And then whatever's left over from that, now say there's 50,000 left over. Yeah, now that can go to the previous owner. That previous owner, though, it has to go petition for it. They have to go to the courts, petition for the money. It'll sit there for 2 years. If they don't go petition for it for 2 years, it'll then become property of the state. And then I don't know what happens to it after that.
So I can tell you, previous partner of mine, he worked an overages business for a while,
Oh, yeah?
and that's exactly what it was for, was to go and help these property owners collect the excess proceeds. What he found out the hard way was these cities and these municipalities, this is a slush fund for them. They do not want to give that up. You
Yeah.
actually, in a lot of cases, end up having to sue the municipality to get your money, and you still likely won't win in a lot of
Yeah.
cases. I don't remember, so don't quote me on this. I want to say it was the city of Philadelphia. I mean, we are talking millions and millions of dollars per year that ages out, and then it becomes part of that slush fund. Like, it's huge, huge money
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
keeping.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
and of course, they're going to appropriate those funds the best way possible when they keep them, right? Like, it's government. Why would they squander money? But it's definitely a real thing, and there's that in and of itself could be a viable business. But that buddy of mine,
Yeah.
he learned the hard way. It wasn't just fill out some papers and they hand you a check.
Yeah, so and it's funny you mentioned that, Derek, because at one point, once I figured out, when I was doing all that, and then I started to get extra time on my hands, and really that's why I got into real estate. I didn't want to keep hopping on roofs and giving estimates and running a bit. I mean, I still do it, but I wanted more time. That's why I started getting into real estate. But anyways, so when I had more time, I started figuring out that, man, what if I went and did a business like that and started, petitioning and helping folks get these excess proceeds? And then I figured out there's something written into the law where uh, you're, I forget what, you're capped at a certain amount that you can charge
Hmm.
folks. I forget what it is, but I remember after I read that and figured out that I'm capped. I can't, you can't just call what you want. If somebody's owed $100,000, you can't be like, hey, I'm going to come do it for 20%, and you're going to make 20 grand on the deal. No, they cap you at something to where it didn't even make sense to run to. It wasn't a lucrative business, so I just didn't even think about it after that.
Yeah, and that's different based off of area that you're in as well, and certainly could have changed. I'm not knowledgeable on what
Right?
it looks
Yeah,
like today,
it's been
but
some time for me too.
yeah. So one of the things that I deal with a lot of people that are in, foreclosure with their lenders, not the tax delinquent so much,
Gotcha.
and in putting together option deals, going and catching up their mortgage, letting them, I mean, if they don't want to be in the house anymore, then we certainly can buy it. But many of them want to stay in the house.
Yeah.
And there's equity stripping laws you got to watch out for and everything else. If you're, if especially if a lender is going to lose money, like on a short sale, then it's a no-fly zone.
Yeah.
But to go and buy an option, if somebody's 20, $30,000 behind in their mortgage and there's enough meat on the bone, buy an option and catch up their mortgage and have it reinstated. And they can, typically the people I'm dealing with, like, they didn't make bad financial decisions. They had something happen in their life that was beyond their control. So
Sure.
medical
Yeah.
or job loss, but now they're stabilized. They just can't get caught up.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And those are really great because we're not giving them a loan. It doesn't affect their debt to income ratio. They don't have monthly payments. They get to stay in their house for a period of time, and often we'll give them the right to buy their option back.
Hmm.
So I may give them 2 years to return my money plus what we agree on as profit, and the option becomes satisfied or null and void. But if they don't buy it back, it doesn't mean we're obligated to buy it at, 2 years and a day. It just means we can exercise our option any point moving forward. And
Gotcha.
the fun thing with options is most of them never get exercised. They get sold, traded, renegotiated, bought out. Um, it's really fun to do with like retirement accounts, or I have private investors who come and invest into deals of mine, and we can split deals, or we can co-own an option. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. So that's what kind of led me to the question earlier about, do you
Yeah.
approach these homeowners because
Yeah.
they can stay in the property if that makes sense. It's all about how long you're willing to tie up the money. But if you have a 2-year redemptive period, anyways, um, perhaps just getting them the money they need to catch up their taxes, and having the right to buy it outright using an option might be another strategy.
Yeah. No, I definitely would like to talk with you more on that one.
Yeah, we're going to do that when nobody else is listening because that's how we roll. Just kidding. Anybody listening to this, I mean, I'm happy to share that, and my regular listeners know that anyways because I love doing creative structures. But that is a great way to approach it, where, as you said, they're getting 20, 30 other people that are chasing them, trying to take advantage of their bad situation. You're coming at it from a completely different angle of
Yep.
of helping them.
Yeah.
But it's not hard to get 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% returns on your money, um, doing that structure. And especially if you're able to do that with an IRA, or a Roth IRA, great way to grow your retirement account, and you don't have any liability. So the point of using the options is you're coming into this and utilizing that strategy where everybody else that's approaching them is trying to take advantage of their bad situation, right?
Yeah, I think, and I want to say that there's a gentleman here who really does that heavy in San Antonio. Because he's approached me before, and he was something along the lines of what you were telling me, because he knew that I'm always out there and I'm doing these things. And I think he tried to recruit me once to kind of do that. And I don't know, man, I'm just always a solo guy. So I was kind of like, yeah, sure. I took his card and never really spoke with him after that, but it sounded kind of right along the lines of what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, and it can be another tool. You don't have
Yeah.
to chase them that way all the time, but there could be
Yeah.
that one out of 100 that it makes sense to do it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, John, why don't we ask you the hardest question of the day?
Sure.
What is one question I should have asked you that I did not, and it can be about anything?
Hmm. Why I chose to, I guess, to get into real estate. Uh, Reason I chose to get into real estate was, like I said, I wanted more time back.
Mhm.
You work so much sometimes. You're like, dude, this, money's great and all that, but what am I making all the money for, right? Like, what am I making all this money for? Just to have a nicer car, a nicer home, more vacations. Dude, what do you want? Like, and that's what I ask everybody. I'm like, well, because everybody's like, I just want to make some money. I want to, and I'm like, well, what do you want to make money for? Like, what's why like what's your why, right? My why was simply just my time back. Like, my kids were getting older, so I wanted to coach my daughter's basketball team. So I started finding ways that I could have rentals bringing me some money, so I didn't have to go write 100K in business this month or next month, or even if I had a terrible month, I still had money coming in, so I didn't have to stress out so much. So for that, my why was, wanting to spend more time with my children, wanting to coach their teams. I coach my son's football team right now. I've coached them for the past 4 years. These are years that go by really fast, and you want to try to get as much of it as you can. And I would tell folks, even if you're not going to get into real estate and you're sitting there and you're working 60-hour weeks just to make all this money, but you're missing out all this time with your kids or your family, maybe reconsider. Because your kids don't like they're not really going to remember whether you drove a Mercedes or whether you drove a Honda, right? They're going to remember, like, were you around,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's for me, that's kind of what I try to find, that inner why in people, and that was mine, and that's still mine. I love to run. I love to train. I run in like Spartans, and I do all these
Mhm.
races, 5Ks, 10Ks. Shoot, man, these high rocks races. I do all this stuff like for me physically, and
Yeah.
that takes a lot of time to train, right? So I'm like that. That's what I personally love to do. So I need to find time. I need to go. I need to go buy my time back. And that's why I got into this. And that's why, for me, um, making money, making passive money was why I wanted to make money. I don't care about anything materialistic, really. I'm like the simplest guy in the world. I grew up poor. But for me, it was like, how do you buy time back? How do you buy time back? Well, you got to buy it. You got to make money, unfortunately. But there are ways to do it. For me, it was a service-based industry, service-based company, which is what I do. And most folks that, what's crazy is that you don't need a college education to do it. I didn't never needed my degree to do this, and you don't. So anybody that thinks that you know you just got to have man, a little bit of fortitude, a little bit of will, a little bit of confidence in yourself, and go do it. And figure out your why. Like, figure out your why, man. You don't need to go make all this money if you don't know why you're making it, what you're making it for.
Well, that's what we talk about here all the time. Our mantra is live your vision, love your life, and the vision
Yeah.
is all about your why.
Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate you giving us some of your knowledge and your experience. And I know that you've helped some people in the past, and you've got an ebook and some other stuff out there. So, how
Yeah.
can people find you, John?
Yeah, so pretty much on YouTube, if you just YouTube tax deed mentor, you'll find my channel there. I probably got like over 100 videos up. If you on there too, you can just DM me through the thing. If you just DM me a message with your email, I'll send you over the ebook. The ebook's a simple read. It's like 5 chapters, it's like 50 pages, but it teaches you everything on how to go out to these auctions, how to find the list, how to look up the property, all the key terms, redemption rights, how to do a lien search. All the good stuff is in there, totally free. I'll email it over to you. I give you my information in there too. So like I give you like my direct number, and I have people text me all the time. They're like, "Hey, what is this?" And on page whatever, or "Hey, I'm going out to auction." Like, if you want me to look at a property too, I tell folks, "Man, just send me the property. I'll look it up if I have time, and I'll give you my feedback on it." I literally all I want people to do is be successful,
That's
and so
awesome.
whatever, however I can do that. So yeah, so people reach out to me all the time, man. They send me a text. I'll get back to you when I can. So please, if you want to do that, you could just text 210-767 CASA, and man, I'll respond back to you when I can. And yeah, all the info is free. Pass it forward.
Beautiful. Well, that's a great way to wrap this one up. To everybody else that's listening, that's what we're here for, is to help you grow your network, help you grow your knowledge base, and give back to all of you. So till the next show, go live your vision and love your life, find your why, and we'll see you.